My daughter called, "Dad, tomorrow I'm getting married. I just withdrew all the money from your accounts and sold your house. Goodbye, Dad." I listened and was shocked, almost collapsing. But then I just laughed. Because she didn't know the secret about that house. She thought I was old, thought I was a stupid, confused fool. But tomorrow, when she walks into her wedding ceremony, the police will come to give her a special gift before she puts on her wedding ring. Hello friends, thanks for joining me. Please like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Quick note, this is a fictional story with dramatized elements for storytelling purposes. Any resemblance to real events is coincidental, but the lesson within is something we can all learn from. I laughed when I saw the 0. Not a chuckle, not a nervous giggle. A full-on, belly-shaking laugh that echoed off the kitchen walls at 7:30 on a Sunday morning. The kind of laugh that makes your neighbors wonder if you finally lost it. Maybe I had. I sat at the kitchen table in my house on Desert Ridge Boulevard, laptop, open coffee growing cold beside me. The Arizona sun was just starting to climb over the desert hills outside the window, painting the saguaros gold. It should have been a peaceful morning. Retirement had given me plenty of those, but my bank account balance wasn't peaceful. It was a disaster. Checking account $1,732.14. Previous balance $6,800. Savings account $0. Previous balance $220,000. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, closed the laptop, opened it again. Still 0. That's when I laughed. Because what else do you do when your life savings vanishes overnight? When you spent 30 years as a bank manager teaching people how to protect themselves from fraud, and then you wake up one morning to find out you're the victim. You laugh. Or you cry. I chose laughter. I clicked on the transaction history, my hands surprisingly steady, for a man who'd just been robbed blind. 3 large withdrawals from savings. 1 from checking. October 24th, 2024, 9:47. AM $90,000 transferred to Amanda Hughes, account XXXX3782. October 24th, 2024, 2:18 p.m. $85,000 transferred to BH Investment LLC. October 25th, 2024, 11:03 a.m. $45,000 wire transfer to Luxury Weddings AZ. October 26th, 2024, 3:42 p.m. $500 ATM withdrawal, Scottsdale Fashion Square. Total $225,000. Amanda Hughes, my daughter. I stared at her name on the screen. 32 years old, marketing coordinator, lives in Scottsdale, drives a leased Honda. Calls me twice a month, maybe 3 times if she needs something. And apparently she'd just cleaned me out. The phone rang. I looked at the caller ID. Amanda Hughes. For a second I thought about not answering. About letting it go to voicemail. About pretending I hadn't seen the statements yet. That I was still the clueless old man she must think I am. But I'm not clueless. I'm a banker. Or I was. I picked up. "Dad." Her voice was bright, almost giddy. "I have the best news." I said nothing. "Brandon and I are getting married this Saturday. Can you believe it? We didn't want a long engagement, so we just went for it. And Dad, we bought a house." My grip tightened on the phone. A house. Yes, it's perfect. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a pool. You're going to love it. "What's the address?" My voice sounded calm. Too calm. 2943 Canyon View Circle, in Tempe. It's close to everything. We got an amazing deal. 2943 Canyon View Circle. My rental property. The house I'd owned for 9 years. The house that brought in $3,200 a month. The house that was supposed to fund my retirement, along with the savings account that was now sitting at a big, fat zero. Amanda, I said slowly, that's my house. A pause, then a laugh. Light, unbothered. I know, Dad. That's the best part. I used the power of attorney you signed. Remember you said I could handle your finances if you were ever sick or couldn't manage things yourself. So I sold the house and we used the money for the down payment. Isn't that great? It stays in the family power of attorney. I didn't remember signing a power of attorney. I would remember something like that. I'd spent 3 decades reviewing legal documents. I knew what a POA looked like. I knew what it meant, and I would never ever give my daughter that kind of control. Amanda, I said, my voice low, I never signed a power of attorney. Another pause, this one longer. Yes, you did, Dad, in September. When you were in the hospital with pneumonia. I brought the forms to you. Insurance paperwork, remember, you signed everything. September. The hospital. Fever of 104.3. 3 days in Banner Desert Medical Center, barely able to lift my head off the pillow. And Amanda visiting me, bringing papers, telling me they were routine. I closed my eyes. Amanda, where did the money from my savings account go? What do you mean, the $220,000? Where is it? I already told you. The house, the wedding. Dad, are you feeling okay? You sound confused. Confused. She thought I was confused. Or maybe she wanted me to think that. I'm fine, I said quietly. I'll call you later. Wait, Dad. I hung up. The kitchen was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at the laptop screen. $0 and 0 cents. I thought about Catherine, my wife, the woman who'd sat at this same table 34 years ago, holding a tiny red-faced baby girl in her arms, tears streaming down her face. She's perfect, Catherine had whispered. Warren, she's absolutely perfect. And she was. Amanda was perfect. Smart, funny, stubborn as hell. She looked just like her mother. Catherine passed away 3 years ago. February 14th, 2021. A car accident on I-10 just outside Phoenix. The kind of ordinary tragedy that rips your life apart without warning. Before she went, I'd promised her I'd always protect Amanda, no matter what. Take care of our girl. Catherine had set her hand in mine. I will, I'd promised. But how do you protect someone from themselves? I looked at the laptop screen again, at the zeros, at my daughter's name on the transaction list. And then I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I didn't know what else to do. My daughter just stole $250,000 from me, I said out loud to the empty kitchen. And I'm sitting here laughing. I looked at the photo of Catherine on the counter. Her smile, her eyes, the way she'd always believed the best in people, even when they didn't deserve it. Catherine, I whispered, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I failed. I closed the laptop. Outside, the desert morning stretched on golden and quiet. And inside, I sat alone with nothing but a cold cup of coffee and the sound of my own hollow laughter. 45 minutes later, I was still standing at the kitchen window, staring out at the desert. The saguaros stood silent in the morning light, arms raised like they were asking the same question I was. How did I miss this? I'm not supposed to miss things like this. For 30 years, I was the guy people came to when they had questions about money. Warren Hughes, branch manager at Desert Valley Bank in Gilbert. The man who could spot a forged signature from across a desk. The one who'd saved at least a dozen elderly clients from signing away their life savings to scammers who called themselves financial advisors or helpful family members. Qley, I knew every trick in the book. Fake power of attorney documents, emotional manipulation, urgency tactics. Sign this now, Mom, before it's too late. I'd seen it all, and I'd stopped it all until now. Now I was the cautionary tale. I turned away from the window and looked around the kitchen. The house was quiet. Too quiet. It had been that way for 3 years, ever since Catherine passed away. This house, 4821 Desert Ridge Boulevard, was hers before it was ours. She'd inherited it from her parents, put it in a trust, made sure it would always be protected. Our safety net, she used to call it. A place we could always come home to no matter what. Catherine had been the smart one when it came to legal matters. I handled the numbers. She handled everything else. We were married in 1990. 34 years. She was 24, fresh out of college with a teaching degree and a smile that could light up a room. I was 26, wearing a suit I'd borrowed from my father and carrying a ring I'd saved 6 months to buy. Amanda was born 2 years later, our only child. Catherine had complications during the delivery, and the doctors told us there wouldn't be any more babies. We didn't care. Amanda was enough. More than enough. She was perfect. At least I thought she was. Catherine passed away on Valentine's Day 2021. A car accident on I-10 just outside Phoenix. She'd been on her way home from a teacher's conference in Tucson. A semi-truck driver fell asleep at the wheel, drifted into her lane. She didn't suffer. That's what they told me. It was instant. I'm not sure that makes it any better. After she was gone, I threw myself into work. But I was 56, tired, and grief makes you careless. I retired in 2022, 2 years earlier than I'd planned. The bank gave me a gold watch and a plaque that said something about dedicated service. I put it in a drawer and haven't looked at it since. I thought retirement would help. Thought I'd have time to process things, to grieve properly, to figure out how to live without the woman who'd been my partner for more than half my life. Instead, I just got lonelier. Amanda called at first. Once a week, maybe twice. But she was busy. Marketing coordinator at some firm in Scottsdale, making $65,000 a year and living in a 1-bedroom apartment that cost $1,650 a month. She had her own life. I didn't want to be the needy father, the one who clung too hard. So I let her drift. I started volunteering at the Phoenix Public Library, teaching financial literacy classes to seniors. Ironic, isn't it? Helping other people avoid the exact thing I was about to fall into. But it gave me something to do. Kept my mind sharp. Or so I thought. The rental property, 2,943 Canyon View Circle in Tempe, was supposed to be my backup plan. I'd bought it in 2015, right before the market took off. Paid $340,000 for it. Now it was worth over $500,000 easy. David and Lisa Robinson had been renting it since 2021. Good tenants. Paid on time, took care of the place, never caused trouble. That $3,200 a month covered the property taxes, insurance, and still left me with a nice cushion. Between the rental income and my savings, I was set, comfortable, secure, or I had been. I walked back to the table and opened the laptop again. The screen was still showing my account balances, $1,732.14 in checking. $0 in savings. I pulled up the transaction details one more time, even though I'd already memorized them. Amanda Hughes. Amanda Hughes. BH Investment, LLC. Luxury Weddings, AZ. My daughter. My perfect, beautiful, smart daughter. The one I'd taught to ride a bike. The one who'd cried on my shoulder when her high school boyfriend broke up with her. The one who'd stood beside me at Catherine's funeral, holding my hand so tightly, I thought she might never let go. "I'll take care of you, Dad," she'd whispered that day. "I promise." And I'd believed her. I'd believed every word. I closed my eyes and saw Catherine's face. Not the way she looked at the end, but the way she'd looked when Amanda was born. Exhausted, tearful, radiant. "She's perfect, Warren. She's absolutely perfect." "I'm sorry," I whispered to the empty room. "I'm so sorry." I opened my eyes and looked at the laptop again. I'd spent 3 decades teaching people how to avoid this, how to protect themselves, how to recognize the warning signs. And I'd missed every single one, because the person stealing from me was my daughter, and I'd loved her too much to see it coming. I picked up my phone and typed into the search bar Elder Financial Abuse Attorney, Phoenix, Arizona. The first result was James Maxwell Law Firm, 5-star reviews. Specializes in elder abuse, fraud, estate disputes. I stared at the phone number for a long moment. This was it. The point of no return. Once I made this call, there was no going back. No pretending it was a misunderstanding. No hoping Amanda would fix it on her own. This was me admitting that my daughter had stolen from me, and I had to stop her. I dialed the number. It rang twice before a woman answered. "James Maxwell Law Firm, how can I help you?" I took a breath. "My name is Warren Hughes," I said. "I need help." My voice cracked just a little. "My daughter stole from me. The receptionist said someone would call back within the hour." I hung up and checked the time. 9 o'clock. I was supposed to teach at the library at noon. I wasn't going. I sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand. The house was too quiet. It had been that way for 3 years, but today the silence felt heavier. Without thinking, I opened my Photos app and scrolled. Catherine at the Grand Canyon. Amanda's college graduation. A desert sunset. And then I stopped. A picture from the summer of 1999. Amanda, 8 years old, sitting at this table with crayons scattered everywhere. She was holding up a drawing, grinning with a gap-toothed smile. My daddy the hero. I remembered that day, summer 1999, Scottsdale. Late afternoon Arizona heat, thick as syrup. I'd just gotten home from the bank, still in my suit, sweat sticking to my shirt. Amanda sat at the kitchen table, bent over a piece of yellow construction paper. Catherine was at the stove making spaghetti, humming. "Daddy, look." Amanda held up her drawing, a stick figure with a cape and a big W on his chest. Me flying through the air holding a little girl's hand. "You're Superman," she said, beaming. "And I'm your sidekick." Catherine laughed. "Your daughter thinks you're a superhero. Don't let it go to your head." I knelt beside Amanda, loosening my tie. "This is amazing. Can I keep it?" She nodded, serious. "You have to, because you protect me from bad guys." I hugged her, breathing in strawberry shampoo. "I'll always protect you, sweetheart. I promise." Promise. Promise. She smiled and went back to coloring. Catherine caught my eye from across the room. Her smile said something I didn't understand then. Don't make promises you can't keep. But I thought I could keep that promise forever. I swiped to the next photo. June 2009. Amanda's high school graduation. Desert Vista High School lawn. Amanda in cap and gown, diploma in hand, looking too grown up. Catherine and I stood on either side of her, arms around her shoulders. She was crying. "Thank you for everything," she'd said, voice breaking. "I know I wasn't always easy, but I love you, both of you. I'm going to make you proud. I promise." I'd laughed. "You already do." "I'm serious, Dad." Catherine kissed her head. "You always have, sweetheart." We took the photo right after. The three of us smiling. Amanda in the middle holding both our hands. She looked so happy. I wondered when that changed. I swiped again, and my chest tightened. February 14th, 2021. Phoenix. This wasn't a photo. It was a memory. Banner Desert Medical Center. ICU, fluorescent lights. Machines beeping. The smell of disinfectant. Catherine was on the bed, eyes closed, peaceful, but she wasn't sleeping. The doctors had already told me. The accident on I-10 had been too severe. She'd already passed, but the machines were still running until I could say goodbye. Amanda stood beside me, gripping my arm. 29 years old, but looking like a child. Small. Scared. Dad, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. I should have been here more. Called more. I should have... Amanda. I turned to her. She was sobbing. It's not your fault. She threw her arms around me, and we stood there in that cold room while the machines beeped their indifferent rhythm. I'm going to take care of you, she whispered. Just like you took care of Mom and me. I'll be there for you, Dad. I swear. I held her tighter, because I believed her. I closed the photo app. 3 memories. 3 promises. You protect me from bad guys. I'm going to make you proud. I'll take care of you, Dad. I stared at my phone, vision blurring. What happened to that little girl who thought I was Superman? The one who cried at graduation and promised to make me proud? The one who held me in the hospital and swore she'd take care of me? When did she become someone who could steal everything I had? I'd kept that drawing. For years, it hung in my office at the bank. Customers would ask about it, and I'd say, that's my daughter. She thinks I'm Superman. And I'd feel proud. After Catherine passed, I framed it and put it on my dresser next to a photo from Amanda's graduation. You're my hero. I wasn't anybody's hero anymore. Just a 58-year-old man robbed by the person he loved most. I sat there staring at the photo on my screen. Amanda at 8, holding up her drawing, grinning. My daddy the hero. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I whispered to the empty kitchen. I'm so sorry. I didn't know who I was apologizing to. Amanda, Catherine, myself. Maybe all 3. The phone rang. I looked down. James Maxwell Law Firm. Mr. Hughes, this is James Maxwell. Can you come to my office today at 2 o'clock? I looked at the clock. 9:15. I'll be there, I said. I sat at the kitchen table for a moment, phone in my hand. 2 o'clock? James Maxwell's office. I had almost 5 hours. I looked at my calendar. Sunday morning. I was supposed to volunteer at the Phoenix Public Library, financial literacy class. I'd been teaching it every other Sunday for 2 years now. Today's topic, how to spot elder financial abuse. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so painful. I grabbed my keys and headed out the door. By 10 o'clock, I was pulling into the library parking lot. The building was quiet on Sunday mornings, just a handful of people browsing the shelves, a few kids in the children's section. I made my way to the community room and started setting up. Laptop, projector, handouts stacked on the table by the door. Slide 1, elder financial abuse. Warning signs. I stared at the screen and felt something twist in my chest. The seniors would start arriving at 11:30. I had an hour and a half to pull myself together. I sat down in one of the empty chairs and closed my eyes. But all I could see was Amanda, 2021, the year Catherine passed away. For the first few months, Amanda had been there. She called 2-3 times a week, stopped by the house on weekends, helped me sort through Catherine's things, clothes, books, the little ceramic birds she'd collected over the years. "You don't have to do this alone, Dad," Amanda had said, sitting on the living room floor surrounded by cardboard boxes. "I'm here." And she was. For a while. 2022. The year I retired. The calls started tapering off. Once a week, maybe. Amanda was busy marketing coordinator at some firm in Scottsdale, pulling in $65,000 a year, but always stressed about rent car payments, credit cards. "I'm sorry I haven't called more, Dad. Work's just been insane." "I understand, sweetheart. You've got your own life." I meant it. I didn't want to be the clingy father, the one who made his daughter feel guilty for living her own life. So I didn't push. I just waited for the phone to ring. 2023, the year she moved away. In March, Amanda signed a lease on a place in Scottsdale. $1,650 a month for a one-bedroom. 15 miles from my house, but it might as well have been across the country. "It's closer to work, Dad, and the neighborhood's really nice." "That's great, honey. I'm happy for you." The calls dropped to once or twice a month. Sometimes she'd pick up when I called. Most times she wouldn't. "Can't talk right now. At work." "I'll call you back." She never did. The house got quieter. I started eating dinner in front of the TV, frozen meals, canned soup. I'd sit on the couch with Catherine's photo on the mantel across from me, and I'd talk to her. "I don't know what I'm doing wrong," I'd say. "I don't know why she won't call." Catherine's smile never answered. Frank Donovan, my best friend from my days at the bank, stopped by once or twice a month. We'd sit on the back patio, drink beer, talk about the Diamondbacks, anything except what was really going on. "You should call her," Frank said one evening in June. "Just pick up the phone." I do call, she doesn't answer. "Then drive over there. Show up." "I'm not going to ambush my own daughter, Frank." He'd shrugged. "Suit yourself. But sitting here waiting isn't working either." He was right. But I didn't listen. Early 2024, the year everything changed. By spring, Amanda and I were barely speaking. A text here and there. Short, distant. "Happy birthday, Dad." "Thanks, sweetheart." "Love you." No phone call. No visit. I told myself it was normal. She was 32 years old. She had her own life, her own problems. I couldn't expect her to drop everything for her widowed father, but the loneliness was suffocating. And then in July she called. Out of the blue. First time in weeks. "Hey, Dad, quick question. How much is your rental property worth?" "The one in Tempe." I'd been so happy to hear her voice that I didn't even hesitate. "About $578,000, I think. Maybe a little more. Why do you ask?" "Oh, just curious. Brandon and I were talking about real estate investments." "Brandon. My boyfriend. I'll tell you about him later. I have to run." "Love you." And she hung up. I should have asked more questions. Who was this Brandon? How long had they been dating? Why was she suddenly interested in my rental property? But I didn't, because I was just so damn grateful she'd called. I opened my eyes and looked around the empty community room. I'd been so lonely that I hadn't seen what was happening. I hadn't seen her pulling away or circling closer, depending on how you looked at it. I'd missed every single sign. The seniors started arriving at 11:30. Mrs. Patterson took her usual seat in the front row. Mr. Kim sat in the back with his notebook. "Morning, Warren." Mrs. Patterson waved. "Ready to teach us how not to get scammed?" I forced a smile, always. I taught the class on autopilot, talked about red flags, about protecting your accounts, about not signing documents you haven't read even if the person asking is family. Especially if the person asking is family. Any questions? I asked at the end. Mrs. Patterson raised her hand. What if the person trying to steal from you is someone you love, someone you trust, with your whole heart? I looked at her for a long moment. Then you're in the hardest position of all, I said quietly, because you won't see it coming until it's too late. The room fell silent. I closed my laptop. Stay safe out there. They filed out slowly, thanking me as they left. Mrs. Patterson lingered by the door. Warren, are you all right? I'm fine, I lied. Just tired. She didn't look convinced, but she nodded and left. I packed up my things and walked to my car. It was 1:15. I drove home in silence. When I got there, I stood in the living room and looked at Catherine's photo. I was so lonely, I whispered. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I went upstairs and changed into my suit. Navy blue, the one I used to wear to the important meetings at the bank. I looked at myself in the mirror. 58 years old. Tired, but still standing. I grabbed my laptop, my phone, and the folder of bank statements I'd printed that morning. At 1:45, I walked out the door. It was time to stop being a victim. It was time to be Warren Hughes again. James Maxwell's office was on the 3rd floor of a building on Camelback Road. Floor-to-ceiling windows, leather chairs, a desk made of dark wood. I sat across from him, folder of bank statements in my lap. He'd listened quietly while I walked him through everything. The withdrawals, the forged power of attorney, the rental house. Now he leaned back in his chair and looked at me. Tell me about your daughter's boyfriend, he said. When did you first meet him? I took a breath. April, this year. Walk me through it. April 2024. My house. It was a Saturday evening. Amanda had called that morning, first time in weeks, and asked if she could bring someone to dinner. I want you to meet Brandon, Dad. I think you're really going to like him. I said yes. Of course I said yes. They arrived at 6. Amanda looked happy, glowing, and the man beside her looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine. Tall, maybe 6'1", dark hair, expensive suit, charcoal gray, a watch that caught the light when he shook my hand. Mr. Hughes, it's an honor. His grip was firm, confident. Amanda's told me so much about you. Call me Warren. Come on in. We sat in the living room. Amanda brought out drinks. Brandon leaned back on the couch, completely at ease. So you're in real estate? I asked. That's right. Real estate investment. I run a family business, Hayes Properties, LLC. We focus on commercial properties, office buildings, retail spaces. How long have you been doing that? About 10 years. My parents started the company. I took over operations a few years ago. He talked easily, mentioned projects in Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, dropped names of developers, talked about cap rates, ROI, market trends. It all sounded impressive, but something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe it was the way he talked, smooth, rehearsed, like a salesman, not an investor. Or maybe it was the watch. I'd spent 30 years in banking. I knew what a real Tag Heuer looked like. That wasn't one. But I didn't say anything. Amanda looked so happy. What was your impression? Maxwell asked, pen poised over his notepad. Impressed, I said. On the surface. But my gut was telling me something was wrong. He talked too much. Too smooth. Like he was selling something. Maxwell nodded. What happened next? July, Amanda invited me to dinner with his parents. July 2024. The Arrogant Butcher, downtown Phoenix. Friday night, crowded restaurant. Brandon's parents were already there. Linda Hayes, mid-50s, elegant, warm smile. She stood and shook my hand. "Warren, it's wonderful to finally meet you. Amanda's told us so much." Richard Hayes, early 60s, graying hair, quiet. He shook my hand, said something about the weather, sat back down. We ordered. Linda did most of the talking. "Hayes Properties has been in the family for 20 years, she said. "Richard and I started it from nothing. Brandon's taken over now and we're so proud." "That's wonderful," I said. "We're thrilled Brandon found Amanda. We want to help them get started." She smiled. "We're planning to give them $250,000 as a wedding gift." I nearly choked on my drink. "That's very generous." "Family takes care of family," Linda said. Richard talked a little about golf. Linda talked about retiring to Sedona. Brandon and Amanda held hands across the table. I left that night thinking they were a nice family. I was wrong. "Did anything seem suspicious?" Maxwell asked. "Not at the time," I admitted. "They seemed legitimate, successful, generous. And the engagement. August. Amanda called, said he'd proposed." I remembered that call, her voice breathless. "Dad, he proposed we're getting married." "That's wonderful, sweetheart. I'm so happy for you." I was, but a small part of me was worried. They'd only known each other 4 months, I told Maxwell. I thought it was fast, but I didn't want to be the father who disapproved. I didn't want to push her away. So I said nothing. I smiled. I told her I was happy. Maxwell set down his pen and looked at me. "Mr. Hughes, everything you've described raises red flags. The fast relationship, the expensive lifestyle, the parents offering $250,000. He paused. "I think we need to dig deeper." "How?" "I'm going to hire a private investigator. Best one in Phoenix. Michael Brooks. He'll run a full background check on Brandon Hayes' financial records, criminal history, business registrations, everything." I nodded slowly. "Do it," I said. Maxwell was writing something in his notepad. He looked up. "Walk me through the financial transactions," he said. "When did you first give Amanda money?" I closed my eyes, trying to remember. "June. This year." "What happened?" "June 2024. Amanda called on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the backyard watering the desert plants Catherine had loved. "Dad, I have an amazing opportunity." Her voice was excited, breathless. "I want to open a children's boutique in Scottsdale." "A boutique?" "Yes. High-end kids' clothing, toys, accessories. Brandon's been helping me with the business plan. His parents think it's a great idea." I felt a flicker of doubt. Amanda had never mentioned wanting to open a business before. "That sounds like a big undertaking," I said carefully. "I know, but Dad, this could really work. I've done the research. The market's there. I just need an investor." "How much are you looking for?" A pause. $50,000. I nearly dropped the hose. "Amanda, that's a lot of money." "I know. But think of it as an investment. I'll pay you back with interest. Brandon says we could see returns within a year." Brandon says. "I don't know, honey. Let me think about it." "Dad." Her voice shifted. Softer now. "Mom always told me to follow my dreams. She believed in me. Don't you?" And there it was. The one thing I couldn't argue with. Catherine would have wanted me to support our daughter. And of course I believe in you, I said quietly. Then help me, please. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. I should have said no. I should have asked more questions, but I didn't. All right, I said. Send me the business plan. Let me take a look. Thank you, Dad. Thank you so much. I love you. I love you too, sweetheart. July 8th, 2024. The business plan arrived by email. 15 pages. Professional looking. Projected revenues, expense breakdowns, market analysis. It looked legitimate. But I'd seen enough fake documents in my banking career to know that anyone with a computer and a template could make something look real. I should have had a lawyer review it. I should have done my due diligence. But I didn't. Because I wanted to believe my daughter. A week later, Amanda came to the house with the paperwork. An investor agreement. Statin. An LLC operating agreement. Both for a company called Little Stars Boutique LLC. Just sign here, here, and here, she said, pointing. I picked up the documents and started reading. Dad. Amanda's voice had an edge to it. Do you trust me or not? I looked up at her. She was standing by the window, arms crossed, jaw tight. Of course I trust you. Then sign the papers. Brandon's parents are investing too. This is a real opportunity. But if you don't believe in me, just say so. I signed, and I wired $50,000 to an account for Little Stars Boutique LLC. Did you ever see the boutique? Maxwell asked. No, I said. Not until last month. October 2024. I'd been asking Amanda about the store for weeks. When was it opening? Where was the location? Could I come see it? She kept putting me off. We're still renovating, Dad. I'll let you know when it's ready. So I decided to drive by myself. She'd mentioned the address once in passing. 8663 East Scottsdale Road. I found it on a Sunday afternoon. It was a vacant lot. Dirt, weeds, a chain-link fence, no store, no construction, nothing. I sat in my car for 20 minutes staring at that empty lot. $50,000. She lied, I said to Maxwell now. The whole thing was fake. There was never a boutique. Maxwell nodded slowly. What about the power of attorney? When did that happen? My jaw tightened. September. I got sick. September 14th to 18th, 2024. It started with a cough, then a fever, then chills so bad I couldn't get out of bed. By the time I called 911, my fever was 104.3 degrees, pneumonia. They admitted me to Banner Desert Medical Center, put me on antibiotics, kept me for 3 days. Amanda came to visit on the second day. September 16th. I was barely awake. The fever had broken, but I was weak, disoriented. Dad, I brought some paperwork. She pulled a folder out of her bag. Just routine stuff, insurance forms, medical consent, in case you need surgery or anything. I could barely focus on the pages. Everything was blurry. What is this? Just medical paperwork. Sign here and here and here. I signed 4 times. I didn't read a single page. Good, Amanda said, tucking the papers back into her bag. I'll take care of everything, Dad. Don't worry. And she left. I didn't think about it again until last week, when I pulled up the bank records and saw the withdrawals. It wasn't medical paperwork, I told Maxwell. It was a power of attorney, financial, real estate, bank authorization, everything. And the notary. Margaret Phillips, that's the name on the documents. But I looked her up. Her notary license expired on August 30th, and according to her daughter, she was in Sacramento visiting family on September 16th. She was never at that hospital. Maxwell was writing rapidly now. So the notary signature was forged. Yes. And you had no idea what you were signing? No, I was barely conscious. I trusted her. The room was quiet for a moment. Maxwell set down his pen and looked at me. Mr. Hughes, your daughter scammed you twice. The fake business investment and the fraudulent power of attorney. That's $50,000 in direct theft, plus the $225,000 she took using the POA, and the attempted sale of your rental property for $578,000. I felt sick. I was a fool, I said quietly. No. Maxwell's voice was firm. You were a father who loved his daughter. There's a difference. I didn't respond, because I wasn't sure he was right. We'll freeze the sale of the rental house, Maxwell continued. And we'll file fraud charges, criminal charges, against both Amanda and Brandon. Both of them. Yes. This was clearly coordinated. He's involved. Trust me. I nodded slowly. What happens next? I'll contact the title company, Secure Title LLC. I'll also file a report with the Gilbert Police Department, Fraud Division, and Michael Brooks will have his preliminary report in 48 hours. All right. Maxwell stood and extended his hand. Go home, Mr. Hughes. Try to rest. I'll call you as soon as I have updates. I walked out of Maxwell's office at 3:30. The Phoenix heat hit me the moment I stepped outside. I got in my car, started the engine, and sat there for a moment, hands on the wheel. September. That was the month everything fell apart. I pulled out of the parking lot and headed south toward home, and all I could think about was how I'd missed it. September the 8th, 2024, a Sunday evening, a month and a half ago. Amanda had called that afternoon. Dad, do you want to have dinner with me and Brandon, just the three of us? I'd said yes immediately. We met at True Food Kitchen in Scottsdale Quarter. They were already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table holding hands. Amanda looked happy. Brandon looked relaxed, confident. We ordered, made small talk. Brandon mentioned wedding plans. We're thinking small, he said. Close family. Maybe 50 people. October 28th. That's soon, I said. Amanda smiled. When you know, you know. Then Brandon leaned back casual like it was nothing. Amanda mentioned you have a rental property in Tempe. Yeah, 2,943 Canyon View Circle. What's it worth? Around $578,000. He nodded. Good investment. We're thinking about getting into real estate ourselves. I didn't think anything of it. I should have. September 14th, 2024. It started Friday morning. A cough. Then a fever. By Sunday, I couldn't get out of bed. My fever hit 104 degrees. I called 911. They took me to Banner Desert Medical Center. Pneumonia. Severe. 4 antibiotics. They said I'd be there a few days. I don't remember much from the first 2 days. Just fever. Machines beeping. Nurses checking vitals. Amanda didn't visit. Didn't call. September 16th, 2024. She showed up Monday afternoon. I was in bed half asleep, barely able to keep my eyes open. The fever had broken that morning, but I was still weak. Foggy. Dad. I opened my eyes. Amanda was standing beside the bed holding a folder. Hey, sweetheart, I mumbled. You came. Of course. She sat down. How are you feeling? Tired, but better. Good. She opened the folder. I brought some paperwork, just routine stuff, insurance forms, medical consent, in case you need surgery. I blinked at the papers, the words blurred. What is this? Hospital paperwork. You know how it is. They need signatures for everything. She pulled out a pen. Sign here, and here, and here, and here. 4 documents. I couldn't focus long enough to read them. Amanda, I can barely... It's okay, Dad. I already read them. Just consent forms. Nothing important. I signed. 4 times. I didn't read a single word. September 22nd, 2024. I came home from the hospital on the 20th. Still weak. Still exhausted. Sunday morning, I got an email from Amanda. Subject insurance documents. Please keep for records attachment 4 PDFs. I opened my laptop. Saw the email, saw the attachments, and I deleted it. I was too tired to care. I figured if it was important, she'd tell me. I never opened those files. October 27th, 2024. Now. I pulled into my driveway at 4 o'clock. The house was quiet. The way it always was. I sat in the car, staring at the front door. She'd planned it. The dinner on September 8th, where Brandon asked about the rental property. The hospital visit on September 16th, when I was too weak to think. The email on the 22nd, when I was too tired to care. She'd waited until I was at my weakest. Then she'd struck. The hospital visit wasn't about checking on me. It was about getting my signature. I got out of the car and walked inside. The living room was dim. I hadn't opened the curtains in days. I walked to the mantel and stopped. Catherine's photo sat in its silver frame. Our anniversary 5 years before she passed. She was smiling, radiant. I picked it up. You always said Amanda was smart, I whispered. You were so proud. Straight A's, full scholarship. You'd tell people she could do anything she set her mind to. My throat tightened. I just wish you'd warned me, I said quietly, that she'd use it against me. I was still holding Catherine's photo when the phone rang. I set the frame back on the mantel and looked at my phone. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello. Warren. A woman's voice, familiar, but I couldn't place it. Yes. It's Rebecca Thompson, from Desert Valley. My old bank, the branch where I'd worked for 25 years. Rebecca, hi. I tried to keep my voice steady. What's going on? Warren, I'm calling because I saw some unusual activity on your accounts. Large withdrawals. I wanted to make sure it was really you. My chest tightened. What withdrawals? Let me pull up the records. I heard typing. Okay. Here we go. I sat down on the couch, phone pressed to my ear. October 24th, 9:47 in the morning. $90,000 transferred from your savings account to an account under the name Amanda Hughes. Account number ending in 3782. I closed my eyes. October 24th, 2:18 in the afternoon. $85,000 from savings transferred to an account listed as BH Investment LLC. BH, Brandon Hayes. October 25th, 11:03 a.m. $45,000 wire transfer to a company called Luxury Weddings AZ. The wedding. My money. Paying for their wedding. And October 26th, 3:42 in the afternoon, $500 cash withdrawal from an ATM at Scottsdale Fashion Square. The card used was registered to Amanda Hughes as an authorized user on your checking account. Rebecca paused. Warren, that's a total of $225,100 in 3 days. Did you authorize these transactions? No. My voice sounded hollow. I didn't. Are you sure? Because the transfers show they were made using online banking with your login credentials and a power of attorney on file. The power of attorney is fake, I said. Silence. Rebecca, my daughter, forged it. She tricked me into signing documents when I was in the hospital last month. I had pneumonia. I was barely conscious. I didn't know what I was signing. Another pause. Then her voice changed. Sharper. Professional. Warren, I'm freezing your accounts right now. Both checking and savings. No more transactions can go through. Thank you. And I'm flagging this as elder financial abuse. The fraud department will open an investigation. Elder financial abuse. The thing I'd spent 30 years teaching other people to avoid. And here I was. Rebecca. My throat felt tight. Did Amanda try to sell my rental property? More typing. Yes. There's a pending sale on file. 2,943 Canyon View Circle Tempe. Buyer is listed as Raj and Priya Patel. Sale price $578,000. Closing date November 5th. 2 weeks away. Can you stop it? I'll contact the title company immediately. Who's handling the sale? Secure Title LLC. The CEO is Charles Bennett. I know Charles. I'll call him right now. We'll freeze the escrow. Thank you, Rebecca. My voice broke. I should have seen this coming. Warren. Her voice softened. You're not the first person this has happened to, and you won't be the last. Family members are the hardest to spot because we trust them. I was a banker for 30 years. I should have known better. You were a father who loved his daughter. That's not the same thing. I didn't respond. Warren, listen to me. You did the right thing by reporting this. A lot of people don't. They're too ashamed or they're too afraid of what it'll do to the family. But you're fighting back. That takes courage. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I'll call you as soon as I've spoken to Charles, Rebecca said. In the meantime, change your online banking password. And don't give Amanda any more access to anything. I won't. I'm sorry this happened to you, Warren. I really am. Thank you, Rebecca. I hung up. The house was silent again. I stared at my phone. $225, 100. Gone. In 72 hours. October 24th. October 25th. October 26th. 3 days. She'd taken everything, my savings, my rental income, even my checking account, and she'd done it in the span of a weekend. Right before the wedding. I stood up and walked to the window. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the desert. Tomorrow was October 28th, Amanda's wedding day. She was going to walk down the aisle in a dress paid for with my money. She was going to say her vows in a venue paid for with my money. She was going to celebrate with champagne and cake and flowers, all paid for with my money. My money. The money I'd saved for 30 years. The money I'd planned to leave to her one day when I was gone. And she couldn't wait. She took it now. While I was still alive, while I was weak and sick and trusting. I thought about her standing in that hospital room, holding those papers, telling me they were just routine insurance forms. I thought about her smiling at me. It's okay, Dad. I already read them. Just sign. And I'd signed. Because I loved her. Because I trusted her. Because I was her father. and that's what fathers do. I looked at my reflection in the window. 58 years old, gray hair, tired eyes, a man who'd spent 3 decades protecting other people's money and couldn't protect his own. But I wasn't done yet. Tomorrow, Amanda would walk down that aisle. Tomorrow, she'd marry Brandon Hayes with my stolen money. But not for long, because I was going to stop her. I turned away from the window and picked up my phone. James Maxwell had given me his cell number. I dialed. He answered on the second ring. "Mr. Hughes." "It's done," I said. "The bank froze the accounts. They're flagging it as elder abuse, and they're contacting the title company to stop the house sale." "Good. That's exactly what we needed." "What happens next?" "Tomorrow morning, I'll file a police report with the Gilbert Police Department. Detective Daniel Carter handles fraud cases. He'll want to interview you." "All right, Mr. Hughes." Maxwell's voice was calm, steady. "You're doing the right thing." I wasn't sure I believed him, but I nodded anyway. "I'll call you tomorrow," I said and hung up. I stood in the middle of the living room, phone in hand, staring at nothing. $225, 100. Gone in 3 days. And tomorrow she was getting married with my money. Not if I could stop her. At 5 o'clock I called Frank. "I need your help," I said. He was at my house 20 minutes later. Frank Donovan had been my closest friend for 30 years. We'd worked together at Desert Valley Bank, him in commercial lending me in branch management. We'd retired around the same time. He understood numbers. He understood fraud. And right now, I needed someone who understood both. He walked into the kitchen and found me sitting at the table, laptop, open notepad covered in scribbles. "Warren?" He pulled out a chair and sat down. "What's going on?" I told him everything. The fake investment, the forged power of attorney, the hospital, the withdrawals, the rental house, the wedding tomorrow. He didn't interrupt. Just listened, his face getting darker with every sentence. When I finished, he leaned back and shook his head. "Jesus, Warren. I know. Amanda did this. You're Amanda." "Yes. And this Brandon guy is behind it." "I think so, but I need proof." Frank was quiet for a moment, staring at the notepad. "Well, what are you going to do?" I looked at him. "I'm going to stop her." "Warren. She's a criminal, Frank. She thinks I'm old. She thinks I'm weak. She thinks she can steal from me and I'll just sit here and take it. She's your daughter. I know." My voice was hard. "But that doesn't change what she did." Frank nodded slowly. "All right, what's the plan?" I turned the notepad toward him. "Rebecca from the bank already froze my accounts. That's done. But there's more." Frank read the list. Action Plan Bank, accounts frozen. Rebecca Thompson, title company, freeze house sale. $578,000 escrow. Attorney fraud complaint, filed James Maxwell police report, elder financial abuse. Gilbert PD private investigator background check on Brandon Hayes. "You've been busy," Frank said. "I'm just getting started." He looked up. "What do you need me to do?" "Stay here, in case I need backup. Or a witness." "Done." I picked up my phone. First call, Charles Bennett. 6:00 p.m., Secure Title LLC. I dialed the number Rebecca had given me. A man answered on the third ring. "Secure Title, this is Charles." "Mr. Bennett, my name is Warren Hughes. Rebecca Thompson from Desert Valley Bank gave me your number. I need to stop a real estate transaction." "What's the property address?" 2943 Canyon View Circle, Tempe. Typing sounds. "Okay, I see it. Sale to Raj and Priya Patel. Closing November 5th, $578,000. What's the issue? My daughter is trying to sell that property without my permission. She used a forged power of attorney. Silence. Mr. Bennett, I have bank statements showing fraud. I have an attorney filing a complaint, and I'm about to file a police report. The POA is fake. The notary's license was expired. The notary wasn't even in Arizona on the date listed. Do you have proof? Yes, I can send you everything. More typing. All right, Mr. Hughes, I'm freezing the escrow account. The $578,000 will not be released until this is resolved, and I'm flagging the transaction as disputed. Thank you. I'm sorry this happened to you. Me too. I hung up and looked at Frank. One down. He nodded. What's next? Police, 7:00 p.m., Gilbert Police Department. The station was quiet on a Sunday evening. I walked up to the front desk and told the officer I needed to file a report for elder financial abuse. She led me to a small room. A detective joined us 10 minutes later. Detective Daniel Carter. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, calm demeanor. Mr. Hughes. I'm Detective Carter. I handle fraud cases. Tell me what happened. I walked him through everything. The timeline, the withdrawals, the fake POA, the rental house. He took notes, asked questions, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he set down his pen. Mr. Hughes, this is textbook elder financial abuse. You have a strong case. Do you have documentation? I pulled out the folder, bank statements, emails, copies of the forged POA documents. He reviewed them carefully. This is good. Very thorough. He looked up. I'm opening an investigation. We'll need to interview your daughter and her fiancé, but I have to tell you this could take time. Fraud cases move slowly. How long? Weeks, maybe months. The wedding is tomorrow. He nodded. I understand. But I can't stop a wedding, Mr. Hughes. I can only investigate the financial crimes. What if they run? Then we'll issue a warrant. But for now, all we can do is build the case. I clenched my jaw. All right. I'll be in touch, Carter said. In the meantime, don't contact your daughter. Don't threaten her. Don't do anything that could jeopardize the investigation. Understood. I shook his hand and walked out. 8:30 p.m. Michael Brooks, private investigator. Back in the car, I dialed the number James Maxwell had given me. A man answered. Deep voice. Professional. Brooks Investigations. Mr. Brooks, my name is Warren Hughes. James Maxwell referred me. I need you to run a background check on someone. What's the name? Brandon Hayes. 34 years old. Claims to be a real estate investor in Scottsdale. What do you want to know? Everything. Criminal history, financial records, business registrations, previous relationships. Anything you can find. That'll take time. How long? 48 hours for a preliminary report. Maybe less. Do it. My rate is $150 an hour plus expenses. Fine. Send me the contract. I'll sign tonight. You'll have it in 10 minutes. I hung up. Frank was waiting when I got home. How'd it go? Title company froze the sale. Police opened an investigation. PI's on the case. Frank stood. You did good, Warren. I haven't done anything yet. You fought back. That's more than most people do. He grabbed his jacket. You going to be okay tonight? Yeah. Call me if you need anything. Thanks, Frank. He left. The house was quiet again. I walked to the mantel and picked up Catherine's photo. "I couldn't protect you," I whispered. "But I can protect myself. And maybe somehow I can still protect Amanda from herself." I set the photo down and looked at the clock. 9 o'clock. Tomorrow was the wedding. Amanda thought she'd won. Thought she'd gotten away with it. She had no idea what was coming. I turned off the lights and headed upstairs. Tomorrow the real fight would begin. I didn't sleep that night. By 9 o'clock the next morning, I was back in James Maxwell's office. Wedding day. October 28th, 2024. Maxwell was at his desk, coffee in hand, reviewing documents.